Imagine owning an asset worth potentially $1 billion. Now imagine you are paying that asset $76,000 a year. And finally, imagine that the people surrounding that asset seem determined to make its life miserable. This isn't a hypothetical business case. This is the current reality of the WNBA. For 28 years, the league has operated on the margins, subsidized by the NBA and struggling for profitability. But then the Caitlin Clark effect hit. It was violent, it was immediate, and it was lucrative. Viewership up 307%, jersey sales eclipsing LeBron James, a media rights deal that ballooned to $2.2 billion. But there is a massive problem, a disconnect that is creating the perfect storm for a hostile takeover. Stephen A. Smith has been screaming it from the rooftops. Caitlin Clark is the Golden Goose. And right now, the WNBA is leaving the Golden Goose unguarded in a room full of wolves. The league is currently facing an existential crisis that has nothing to do with basketball and everything to do with cold, hard economics. Here is the reality. The private sector has realized that Caitlin Clark is a 9-figure asset trapped in a 5-figure contract, and the sharks are circling. Let's look at the math, because numbers don't lie. In her rookie season, Caitlin Clark's base salary was exactly $76,535. That is the price of a luxury SUV. Yet her presence alone forced teams like the Washington Mystics to move games to arenas 5 times the size of their home court, generating millions in a single night. She generated an estimated $50 million in direct ticket revenue in 6 months. This is what economists call asymmetric valuation. The WNBA cannot pay her what she is worth because of their collective bargaining agreement. But you know who can? Sovereign wealth. Enter Project B. This isn't a rumor, it is a disruption engine. Founded by former executives from Facebook and Skype, this new league is built to poach. They aren't offering 5-figure salaries, they are offering millions. And more importantly, they are offering equity, actual ownership stakes in the league. They have already signed the president of the WNBA Players Association, Nneka Ogwumike. They've locked down Alyssa Thomas. But the money behind this venture is the real story. While they claim no direct ownership, Project B has partnered with Sela, an events company owned by the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. This is the same money that fractured professional golf with LAV. The same money that offered Kylian Mbappe $1 billion. The rumor mill suggests that a similar billion-dollar valuation has been placed on prying Caitlin Clark away from the WNBA. It is the ultimate sports washing play. Capture the most famous female athlete on the planet and reshape the global perception of the kingdom. And they aren't the only ones. Ice Cube and the Big Three didn't just talk. They put $15 million on the table for just 8 games of work. That offer served a crucial purpose. It was price discovery. It proved that the market values Clark's labor at $1.5 million per game. The WNBA pays her roughly $1,900 per game. Then there is Unrivaled, the 3-on-3 league founded by WNBA stars, offering million-dollar equity deals for a few weeks of work in Miami. The floor for compensation is rising, and the WNBA's salary cap is cracking under the pressure. But money is only half the equation. The other half is culture, and this is where the WNBA is most vulnerable. The narrative of 2024 wasn't just about records, it was about resentment. You had Diana Taurasi warning that reality is coming. You had Cheryl Swoops falsely claiming Clark played 5 years of college ball to diminish her records. You had the on-court battering, the Chennedy Carter hip check, and the Angel Reese rivalry, which birthed the narrative that Clark gets a special whistle. Stephen A. Smith warned that this jealousy, whether real or perceived, is dangerous. If the workplace is hostile and the paycheck is tiny, why stay? We are already seeing the battle lines drawn. Players like Sophie Cunningham have stepped up as allies, calling out the haters, but the old guard remains skeptical. This internal friction makes an external exit strategy look very appealing. Why grind out 40 games in commercial airports and hostile arenas when you could fly private to Dubai or London for 10 times the money? The WNBA is currently making the same mistakes the PGA Tour made before the LV Golf exodus. They are relying on legacy and loyalty in an era of ruthlessness. The union has opted out of the current labor deal. Negotiations in 2025 will be a war. If the WNBA doesn't shatter its salary structure to pay Clark her true value, someone else will. The billion-dollar rumors might sound crazy to the average fan, but to a sovereign wealth fund, it's pocket change. The Golden Goose is loose. The only question now is whether the WNBA realizes they are about to lose her before the check clears. If Project B is the hurricane on the horizon, Unrivaled is the flood already seeping under the door. While the world speculates about billion-dollar offers and Saudi royalty, a domestic insurgency has already begun in Miami. In January 2025, the Unrivaled League tips off, and it is effectively a live-fire exercise for the destruction of the WNBA's wage structure. Founded by Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, two of the WNBA's own MVP-caliber loyalists, this league was pitched as a supplement, a way to keep players home from overseas. But look closely at the mechanics. They aren't just playing pickup games, they are breaking the economic model of women's basketball. 6 teams, 36 players, a compressed court, a winning score-ending rule designed for virality. But the real innovation is the cap table. Every single player in Unrivaled is receiving equity. Think about the psychological shift this creates. For the first time, players like Angel Reese and Satu Sabali aren't just employees, they are partners. They are seeing the books, they are sharing the upside. When these players return to their WNBA teams in May, do you think they will accept the shut-up-and-dribble dynamics of the old CBA? Absolutely not. Unrivaled has radicalized the labor force by showing them what ownership feels like. And while Caitlin Clark is notably absent from the inaugural Unrivaled roster, opting for rest and golf, her shadow looms over the court. The league has kept a wildcard spot open, a permanent open invitation. They know what the WNBA knows. Clark is the only variable that matters. By sitting out, Clark is arguably exerting even more pressure. She is watching. She is letting her peers test the equity model. If Unrivaled succeeds, she has a proven domestic alternative that pays 5 times her WNBA salary for a quarter of the workload. But if Unrivaled is the domestic squeeze, Project B is the global chokehold. New intelligence on Project B's recruitment strategy reveals a terrifying level of sophistication. They realized early on that they might not get Caitlin Clark immediately, so they decided to buy everyone around her. They didn't just sign Nneka Ogwumike and Alyssa Thomas. They went international. They signed Camila Cardoso from Brazil. They signed Janelle Salon from France. They signed Lei Meng from China. This is a classic pincer movement. By securing the biggest stars from South America, Europe, and Asia, Project B is ensuring that they own the global basketball conversation. The WNBA calls itself a world championship, but if the best Chinese, French, and Brazilian players are all playing in Dubai and London in November, the WNBA becomes just an American regional league. Consider the leverage this gives them over Clark. If Project B controls the global narrative, they can offer her something the WNBA can't: true global icon status. The WNBA is domestic. Project B is designing itself to be the Formula One of basketball, a touring circus of excellence that touches down in every major financial capital on Earth. For a brand like Caitlin Clark, heavily backed by Nike and Gatorade, the appeal of being the face of a global tour is infinitely higher than playing a Tuesday night game in Uncasville, Connecticut. Meanwhile, back in New York, the WNBA war room is in panic mode. The Players Association officially opted out of the collective bargaining agreement in late 2024. The deadline for a new deal is looming in November 2025, and the leaks coming out of these negotiations are disastrous for the league. Sources indicate the WNBA's latest offer included a supermax salary bump to roughly $1.1 million. On paper, that sounds like a win, a massive jump from $200,000, but the players, led by Project B signee Ogwumike, are reportedly unmoved. Why? Because a fixed number, even $1 million, is a trap. The players are demanding a pure revenue share. They want the NBA model, 50% of basketball-related income. They know the media rights deal is worth $2.2 billion. They know ticket prices are up 300%. They don't want a salary cap, they want a percentage of the growth. The WNBA owners are terrified of this. They know that if they agree to a 50-50 split and Caitlin Clark continues to double league revenue every year, the players' salaries will balloon to numbers that wipe out the owners' profit margins. So we are staring down the barrel of a lockout. Imagine this scenario. It is November 2025. The WNBA and the union fail to reach a deal. The league locks the players out. No training camp, no media appearances. Precisely at that moment, Project B launches its inaugural season. While the WNBA is dark, mired in legal battles and press releases about greedy players, Project B is broadcasting high-definition, star-studded games from Tokyo and Riyadh. They have the players, they have the cameras, and because of the lockout, they have the undivided attention of the entire basketball world. It would be a coup d'etat. The WNBA would effectively cease to be the Premier League of women's basketball overnight. Let's bring in the voice of reason, or perhaps the voice of the market, Aaron Kane. Caitlin Clark's agent recently dropped a quote that should have sent shivers down Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's spine. Kane said bluntly, "Will Caitlin Clark ever be paid by the WNBA what she's really worth to that league? I don't think that's possible." This is an admission of failure. The agent is publicly stating that the current employer is structurally incapable of fair compensation. In any other industry, this is the precursor to a resignation letter. Agents are fiduciaries. Their legal obligation is to maximize their clients' earnings. If Project B puts a 10-year, $100 million guaranteed contract on the table, fully insured with no prioritization rules, can an agent responsibly advise Clark to stay in the WNBA for $1 million and a "for the love of the game" speech? The loyalty tax is getting too expensive. We must circle back to the Saudi connection because it is deeper than just money. It is about soft power. The Public Investment Fund has a strategy called Vision 203. The goal is to diversify the Saudi economy and modernize its image. Women's sports are the final frontier of this modernization push. By funding a league where women are paid millions, treated like royalty, and given equity, Saudi Arabia can flip the script on its human rights criticisms. They can say, "Look, we value women's talent more than America does. The WNBA pays them pennies, we pay them millions." This is a powerful propaganda tool, and Caitlin Clark is the ultimate vehicle for it. If the face of American heartland sports, the girl from Iowa, chooses the Saudi-backed league over the American one, it is a geopolitical embarrassment for the United States. It signals that American capitalism is failing its own stars. And let's not forget the environment she would be leaving. The culture war we discussed earlier hasn't cooled down, it has calcified. The special whistle narrative has morphed into a permanent skepticism from the league's veterans. Every hard foul is scrutinized. Every record broken is debated. The racial dynamics remain a powder keg. As the WNBA becomes more popular, the scrutiny on these dynamics intensifies. For Clark, a private tour like Project B offers something the WNBA cannot: a controlled environment. Project B doesn't need drama to sell tickets. They have the funding already. They can promise her a league focused purely on basketball excellence, stripped of the toxic discourse, the Twitter wars, and the racially charged media cycle. They can offer her a sanctuary where she is celebrated, not tolerated. The clock is ticking. The WNBA has approximately 12 months to fix a business model that has been broken for 3 decades. They are fighting a 3-front war. On the domestic front, Unrivaled is raising the price of labor. On the international front, Project B is assembling a Monstars roster to steal the global spotlight. And on the internal front, their own CBA negotiations are heading toward a nuclear lockout. Caitlin Clark is currently the most underpaid employee in the history of modern sports. She has been patient. She has said the right things. She has played the good soldier. But patience has a price tag, and right now, the WNBA can't afford it. The existential crisis is no longer a warning. It is a reality. The Golden Goose is checking her watch, and the Wolves are opening their checkbooks.